Welcome to the Portable Classroom. Maximize your potential program. This is a comparison video of the present simple tense and the past tense. In this video, we are going to compare the present simple tense and the past tense both grammatically, talking about their time markers and forms of verbs, and semantically, how and when to use them. So without further ado, let's begin. First, let's talk about the time markers of these two different tenses. They are also known as time expressions. First, let's talk about the present simple tense. When do we use the present simple tense? We use the simple present to talk about the following two things: facts and habits. Facts are things that are constantly the same. For example, Sam is a boy, she is a student, or I'm a teacher. They are constantly the same. It's not about when it happened, or how it happened. It's about that they are actually constantly the same. That these things are facts. As for habits, we do them regularly. So it happens like every 2 weeks, like on every month, like every Monday, like every day. Things that happens regularly are our habits. So this is a timeline for the present simple tense. This is now. As you can see, fact is like the red line that all the way through they stay constantly the same. Habits are these little icons on this line that happen regularly, like every Monday maybe, or 2 times a week, maybe 2 times a week. So they're habits. So the time markers that we use with the present simple tense, oftentimes they repeat themselves. For example, every and each with a time marker. Every day, every Monday, there is a Monday in every week. Every Tuesday, there is a Tuesday in every week too. So you can see that these time markers, they repeat themselves. On a day, like on Monday, we put an S at the end to stress that it's like every Monday, not just this Monday, but the next one too, and the one prior to this Monday. So with an S to emphasize that it's every Monday. So on Mondays or on Tuesdays. And do remember that we use on with a day of the week, with one day. And then the final one, they are called adverbs of frequency. This shows how often we do things. From 100 to 0, highest frequency to the lowest frequency. So always, usually, often, sometimes, seldom, rarely, and never. As you can see, that time markers and time expressions that we use with the present simple tense, they repeat themselves regularly. Now let's talk about the past tense. We use the past tense to talk about what happened in the past. So this is a timeline for the past tense. This is now. This icon on the line is now. We use the past tense to talk about the red icon on this timeline. It's in the past, no longer true at the moment. So the time markers that we use with the past tense are time markers of the past. The first one is yesterday, with a time period within a day. So yesterday morning is a time period within a day. Yesterday afternoon, time period within a day. There are a lot more than just these two. So yesterday evening, yesterday noon. So we use yesterday with a time period within a day. The second one is last. We can use last with a lot of different time markers, like last week, last year, last Tuesday, last night. Now remember, night, when it comes to night, is last night, not yesterday night. It's last night, okay? The final one is time with a quantifier and ago. There are like 3 minutes ago. As you can see that this is number, a quantifier, time quantifier, and ago. 3 minutes ago, and then maybe 6 years ago, or maybe an hour ago. So you can see that a number, a time quantifier, and ago. So these are the time markers that we use with the past tense. And as you can see that they are all time markers of the past. Yesterday, last, or time plus a quantifier with ago. So let's go back to the beginning. The present simple tense we use that to talk about two things, facts and habits. Facts are what's constantly true. Habits are what happened regularly. As for the past tense, we use it to talk about things in the past. They are no longer true at the moment of speaking. That they are what happened in a certain period of time in the past. Let's move on to the next section. I'm going to give you two examples. Present tense using the time markers that we have learned. So, like Kate and Sue often walk to school by themselves. As you can see that often is a time marker that we use in a present simple tense. It means they do that regularly. They do this regularly. So this is a sentence of the present simple tense. Now let's rewrite the sentence into a past tense sentence. Kate and Sue walked to school by themselves yesterday. Now, yesterday, that's a time marker that we used in the past tense. So this sentence is reformed into a past tense sentence. Now, besides the difference of time markers, you probably also notice that the verbs are different as well. Let's take a look at the verb in the present simple tense and the verb in the past tense. They are different as well. So the next section, we're going to talk about the forms of verbs in both tenses. Now here comes the forms of verbs. Now in the present simple tense, the formulation, the only rule that we need to remember regarding to the use of verbs is this. When the person, the subject, the noun, the person or the thing before the verb is a third person singular pronoun or a third person singular noun. For example, he, third person singular pronoun, she, it, or David, a third person singular noun, May, a third person singular noun, we have to add an extra s at the end of the verb that follows these nouns or pronouns. So he eats. The additional s is required. She eats. The additional s is required. That's the only rule when it comes to the use of verbs in the present simple tense. As for the other persons, we use base verbs with the other persons. So I eat, you eat, we eat, etc. and so forth. No s for the other persons, but there is an additional s after the verb for the third person singular nouns and pronouns. As for the past tense, there are two different kinds of verbs. The first one is what we call the regular verb. The second one is what we call the irregular verbs. For the regular verbs, we add ed at the end of the verb. Cook, that's the base verb. In this past tense form, ed, cooked. So you can see that, adding two more letters to the end of the word. Play, played. Two extra words at the end of the word. These are regular verbs. As for irregular verbs, we have to memorize them by heart. Eat, past tense, ate. Go, past tense, went. Hit, past tense is still hit. So these are the forms of verbs in both tenses. Let's make some examples. When I use a sentence, when I talked about something happened in the past, so it will be like Kate ate pizzas, or Bob hit me. And as you can see that this hit is without an additional s. What does it mean? You see, Bob is a third person singular noun. There's no s at the end of the word hit, means it is actually a past tense verb. Because if it is not a past tense verb, we have to add an additional s after the word hit, according to the rules of the tenses, because it will be a sentence of the present simple tense, no longer a sentence of the past tense. So let's go back and summarize everything that we've learned about the forms of verbs. The present simple tense, the rules are simple. When the person, the subject, it's a third person singular noun or a pronoun, we need to add an additional s after the verb that follows after the verb that follows these pronouns or nouns. So he eats, she eats. As for the other persons, there's no need to do that. We use base verbs after these pronouns and nouns. So I eat and you eat and we eat. As for the past tense, there are two different kinds of verbs, regular verbs and irregular verbs. For the regular verbs, we add ed. Cook, cooked, play, played. Irregular verbs, eat, past tense ate, go, went, hit, hit. So remember these rules that we have learned. And then let's take a look at some of the sentences down below. So the first one, if you have a chance to do this kind of questions on the test, the first thing you do is you look for the time markers. So the time marker is usually at the end or at the beginning of a sentence. In this case, it's at the end. And yesterday morning, and it tells you that it's a sentence of the past tense, because it is what happened yesterday morning, no longer true at the moment of speaking. So the past tense of go is an irregular verb. So the past tense of go is went. So it's I went to school with my friends yesterday morning. The next one, also look for the time marker. It's at the end of a sentence and it says every morning. It's a sentence of the present simple tense. Now he is a pronoun and is also a third person singular pronoun. So it's not a base verb. We cannot use a base verb here. The answer is actually goes. So he goes to school with his friends every morning. And as for these two, there are no time markers at the end. There are no time markers at the end of each sentence. So we look for verbs. Had is a past tense verb, so which means this is a past tense sentence. If I must write a time marker at the end, it has to be a past tense time marker, like yesterday afternoon or something like that. The other sentence, had some pizza with May. Now has, a base verb with an s, we use with the third person singular noun or pronoun, which means the sentence is actually written in the present simple tense. And as you can see that the time marker is here and it says usually. It's what happened regularly. So this is a comparison between two tenses, different time markers and different forms of verbs. Now for more information or exercises, please visit www.theportableclassroom.blogspot.tw. I hope you find this video helpful, and thank you very much.